Every time you send a text, search the internet, or ask an AI, you are relying on an architecture built by a single human mind. This individual created the logic that powers the modern world, and used that very same logic to save an estimated 14 million lives during the deadliest war in history. His name was Alan Turing. But instead of being celebrated as a global hero, the country he saved ultimately destroyed him, leaving his true story buried for decades. To understand what Turing actually achieved, you have to look at the severe limitations of his era. In the 1930s, the word computer did not describe a piece of hardware. A computer was a job title. It referred to a human being sitting at a desk, performing tedious, repetitive math calculations by hand, hour after hour. This human speed limit on calculation only broke when Turing proposed a new way of working, replacing physical human labor with a system of rigid theoretical logic. Turing always operated on the outside of normal social conventions. He didn't process the world through typical conversation. He saw it purely in patterns and numbers. By 1936, that unique perspective led him to publish a deeply complex mathematical paper. This diagram illustrates his core idea. He proposed a theoretical device that read a continuous strip of paper tape divided into squares. By feeding specific, coded instructions through a mechanical reading head, this machine could theoretically solve any mathematical problem you gave it. He called it the universal machine. The machine existed completely in his imagination. He had no screen, no circuitry, and no electricity to power it. Yet the logic he mapped out on paper became the exact framework for modern coding. But before Turing could physically build his digital future, the year 1939 arrived. World War II broke out across Europe. Turing's limitless scientific trajectory was halted. The British government desperately needed his brilliant mind to help save the free world from destruction. This is the Enigma machine, the reason Nazi Germany swept across the continent unopposed. For the Allied forces, it was an impenetrable black box. Every U-boat coordinate and air raid instruction passed through these keys, completely invisible. As this data visualization shows, the mechanics of the machine created over 150 million possible combinations, and the German military reset those combinations every single night at midnight. The Allies were losing the war for a very simple mathematical reason. Human brains, no matter how clever, physically could not test billions of combinations before the midnight clock ran out and the code reset. Facing an existential threat, the British government gathered its sharpest mathematicians, linguists, and chess champions in absolute secrecy at this country estate, Bletchley Park. While others furiously scrubbed chalkboards trying to spot linguistic patterns, Turing took a different approach. He realized a complex machine could never be defeated by human computation. The only way to win was to build a superior machine. This is what he built, a massive electromechanical beast named the Bombay. By automating logical deductions, it eliminated incorrect Enigma settings. Under immense pressure, the rotors spun, the gears aligned, and his invention shattered the German code. Suddenly, the British military could read the enemy's exact movements. Historians estimate that the intelligence gathered by Turing's machines shortened World War II by 2 full years and saved over 14 million lives. Turing secured the ultimate intellectual victory. Without firing a single bullet, he crippled the enemy's war effort using pure logic. When peace finally returned, Turing didn't rest. He immediately looked decades into the future, questioning the limits of what a machine could ultimately do. Look at this split-screen diagram. In 1950, he published a paper proposing what is now called the Turing test. He argued that if a machine could indistinguishably mimic a human in a text-based conversation, it would prove that the machine possessed true intelligence. Before the first line of modern AI code was written, Turing had already defined the goal, creating a machine capable of thinking just as we do. But Turing was never celebrated for his wartime triumphs. Because of the strict rules of the Official Secrets Act, his incredible work remained highly classified. To the British public, he was completely unknown. Then, in 1952, a minor burglary at his home brought the police to his door. During their investigation, they discovered details about Turing's private life. At the time, homosexuality was illegal in Great Britain. The police arrested him and prosecuted him for gross indecency. The British courts handed the man who saved their country a horrifying ultimatum. He could either go to prison or he could submit to chemical castration, a series of synthetic hormone injections designed to suppress his natural urges. Turing chose the injections so he could stay out of a cell and continue his research. But the treatment severely ravaged his physical health and his mind. Adding to the punishment, the government labeled him a security risk, revoked his clearances, and banned him from the very cryptographic work he lived for. On June 7, 1954, Alan Turing was found dead in his bed at the age of 41. The cause of death was cyanide poisoning, with a half-eaten apple left resting quietly beside him. The man who saved millions by outthinking a machine was eventually broken down and discarded by his own government. The truth of his heroism remained locked away in government vaults for decades. It only began to emerge as the digital age he theorized rapidly took shape around the globe. As public awareness grew, the demand for justice forced a reckoning. In 2009, the British government issued a formal apology for his treatment, and in 2013, Queen Elizabeth II granted him a posthumous royal pardon. Today, the nation that once criminalized him literally weaves his legacy into its daily commerce. Alan Turing's face now looks out from the British 50-pound note. He won a war and outlined the digital future. His story stands as a permanent reminder that the greatest leaps forward in human capability are driven by the minds that refuse to fit the rigid molds of their time.